All right, welcome back, everybody. We're on episode 4 of The Paper. We had a little hiatus. We haven't recorded in about a month and a half, almost. Actually, more like month and a 2 months.
Yeah, almost 2 months.
Almost 2 months. So, school hit us. We had other things to do, but we're back coming at you guys with another episode. Today in the finance section, I'm going to be covering some professional certifications that you might want to look out for if you're looking to have your money managed, or if you are thinking about getting into the financial services industry. And then I'm also going to give a little market update. So I guess I'll jump right into that right now. So we've been on kind of a downturn recently in the markets. The Dow closed today at 23,553. The S&P is 2741, and the Nasdaq 7952. They're about, the Dow at least is 20% off the high, which was set back in February, I want to say, 29th maybe?
The highs?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Late February. So we're officially in a bear market, excuse me. So if you guys don't know, a bear market is when the market crashes at least 20% off the high. So that's where we're at right now. We just entered bear market territory. So we ended the longest bull run in stock market history, which was 11 years. So
Sheesh.
we're kind of overdue.
Yeah.
Bull markets usually last anywhere from like 4 to 10 years. 10's kind of long, maybe 4 to 8. Yeah. So we're at 11. So we're on borrowed time right now. Other news. This is a little outdated because I wrote this maybe a week ago. But E-Trade is being acquired by Morgan Stanley. So they bought E-Trade. They're trying to get into that retail investing. They kind of focus more on like high net worth clients. So they're trying to bring in a new client base. They bought them for $13 billion in all stock transaction. I wrote transition. And then, like I said, they're trying to get into that retail space. So people like us, really, who are doing trading stocks, trading options, things like that, which is what E-Trade is. So that represents about $2,500 per customer. So you do the math, you can figure out how many customers E-Trade has. Will's writing me a note. Oh yeah, Robinhood went down.
Twice.
That thing's a piece of shit. I hate that thing.
I mean,
that's aggressive. It's not. Yeah. That's aggressive. That's mean. I just don't like it because like I said, it goes down 2 times in a week. Although the market did.
One of the days it went down was when it had a bounce back, the market. So it was like the investors were a little mad about that.
Yeah.
And then the other day it was a big decline.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Well, like even the stock
good.
exchange had to shut down for 15 minutes
with
the other day.
Breaker at 7%.
Yeah. So if you don't know, like the stock market has like these kind of circuit breakers, I guess they're called.
Timeouts.
Yeah. So like if it drops by a certain amount in a certain amount of time, it shuts down and lets everybody kind of like
process.
Yeah. Be like, okay, like take a deep breath and be like, all right, what's going on?
Yeah.
Because like if you think about it, if you're trying to get stocks at a certain price and it's crashing hard, you can't get it.
Yeah.
So they stop it and they let everybody like kind of recoup, and then they open it back up. And I think it's like 7%. If it drops 7% in a day, maybe it shuts down for 15 minutes.
7% for 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And then 13% for 15 minutes, and then if it drops to 20, you're done for the day.
Yeah, they shut down for the day. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and that actually happened. Russia did that one time. They paused trading. It was like in 1980s or something like that. For a whole day, they shut the market down for a whole day. I think that's true. Don't quote me on that, though.
I believe this is the first time it was a circuit breaker since like Bloody Monday.
Black Monday.
Black Monday.
Yeah, that was like
1984.
Yeah, something like that.
We
don't know really what we're talking about, but it's okay.
we know a little bit.
Yeah.
We know something.
Like haze, we have like half the story.
More than I know.
So yeah, I mean, other news. If you haven't heard about this, you must be living under a rock because the coronavirus is.
Or you have it.
Kind of. Yeah, or you have. That's fucked up. But anyways, the coronavirus is kind of spreading fear across the globe, and that's kind of driving a lot of the crash in the market.
Panic selling.
Right. So the market really hates uncertainty, and there's a ton of uncertainty around this coronavirus. Like we were talking before we started recording, like China, it started in China, obviously, and China is like, the government kind of controls a lot of things, and they don't want
for sure
stuff coming out. So even the facts that we're getting out of China might not be the whole story.
Exactly.
And is most likely not the whole story.
100% probably not the whole story.
Yeah, and so I think it spread. I think the next place it hit big was like Italy, and then into Europe a little bit.
Italy's entire country's shut down.
Right.
They can't leave at night.
Yeah.
That's
like it's on lockdown.
And then it just kind of recently in the past week came to the U.S. I think we just got one in Michigan.
2 cases in
yesterday.
Michigan.
Last night. Yeah,
there was a bunch in New York and California. Obviously, those are like
San
coastal
Francisco,
states, big time port cities.
They have a cruise ship there with a bunch of people on it. So.
Right. The big port cities like on the coast are getting hit pretty hard with it.
Yeah. So
I think what is the deaths at in the U.S.?
When I looked, it was like there was like 500 cases. It was like 26 to 28 deaths.
Okay, yeah. So small numbers,
that's double by now. Probably.
Yeah, small numbers, but I mean it's a virus. It spreads quickly. You think about how many people you interact with in one day.
Yeah, that's why we have online classes now.
Yeah. So we also got our classes kind of like semi-canceled for the rest of the semester. They're all going to online, even the in-person ones. So kind of like cool, but not for a good reason.
Yeah.
So hopefully we have more time to record podcasts.
We'll stay on top of it now.
Definitely. But so I think it's been actually classified as a pandemic now, which means it's growing kind of like out of control in a sense.
Yeah, I mean there's no cure yet.
Yeah.
Nothing really slows it down.
Right. So, I mean that's wild.
Yeah. So pandemic is prevalent over a whole country or the world. So it's benefit like we said, it's kind of spreading throughout the whole world. So they classify it as a pandemic officially by the WHO. The what? The WHO. Anyways, so let's jump into kind of my main topic here for episode 4, which are some professional certifications in finance. These are things that you want to look out for if you're looking to get an advisor or you want to make sure people are credible, things like that. So the first one is kind of near and dear to my heart because that's the one I'm going for actually, after I graduate, which is a Certified Financial Planner or the CFP. These acronyms are not hard to figure out.
Right.
They just, but they're kind of like the jack of all trades. So they work in their investments, they work in clients' insurance plans, they might work on their tax planning a little bit, education, other things like budgeting, saving money, things like that. And then just how to get it. You have to complete what they call the 4 E's, which are education requirement, which is what I'm doing now in school. So a lot of colleges have like different programs where you can satisfy that requirement.
Mm-hmm.
There's an exam, and that is, I forget like the length of time it is, like by hours or something.
Is it 2-3?
But your brother just did it.
Yeah, he got, I want to say 2 or 3 hours.
2 or 3 hours.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it was split into like 2 sessions.
Okay, morning and afternoon, something like that. Okay. Yeah, so not like incredibly difficult to do, but still pretty serious. It's kind of becoming like the like if you want to be a financial advisor, you have to have it.
Okay.
Like it's sort of like a requirement, I would say.
Kind of how like a college degree is,
right.
In a sense.
Yeah. It used to be like when it first came around, it was kind of like the gold standard.
You don't
like
need
if
a college degree, I guess.
if your advisor had that, he was kind of like he knew his shit. But now it's like you have to have it if you want to do it. I mean, you don't have to, but it makes it a lot easier. And then the last 2 E's are ethics and experience. So ethics is kind of built into the exam, but there's also like some other shit you need to do with ethics. And then experience, before you get like the badge, I'll say, for lack of a better term, you have to have like a certain number of years of experience working in the field.
Okay.
And I believe you can get that, like like internships count for that too.
So does it like specify how much experience? Or?
I think it's maybe 2 years. I want to say between like 2 and 5.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, that sounds right.
But yeah, like you said, my brother got it, and yeah, I think he's probably been in the industry, I guess, of finance, probably 5 years.
But you can you can take the exam and then work for 5 years, and then you'll just get it. End. Yeah, because you did all the stuff. Like you can do the experience. The experience doesn't have to be the first thing that you do.
Okay.
Basically.
So are you technically not a CFP then until you get your, what you call it, a badge?
Yeah, like your certification, I guess. I guess you could say that you pretty much are, as long as you don't as long as you don't stop working in the industry. But once you pass the exam, you kind of like considered.
Okay.
I would say. Next, what do we got for time? Next up, we have the certified public accountant. This one's pretty common, pretty well known. They're the tax pro, so they work with like your taxes. They also do auditing, and they work with like financial statements and companies and things like that. Like I said, they often help with tax filings on a personal level. So if you're looking for a CPA, that's what they're going to be able to do if you need help with taxes or things like that. They also work closely with CFPs. So when the CFP maybe has a tax question that's a little advanced, they might go to the CPA and be like, hey, help me out with this. I got a client, he's got a business, and there's some things going on with his taxes that I don't really know what's going on. So how to get it? You need 150 credit degree in accounting, finance, or business program, and then a 4-part test covering audit, the business environment and concepts, financial analysis and reporting, and then the regulation. So pretty serious. There's a lot in. It's pretty heavy in like the degree part. Like our degrees are 120 credits. You need 150 to get this. So you have to do a little bit extra.
Yeah, my girl's going into accounting and she has to do 150 credits.
Right. So is she trying to get a CPA too?
I don't think she's thought about it yet.
Okay. Yeah, so like I said, it's kind of the same way like the CPA or the CFP, sorry, you kind of need this to be a tax pro. So it's no longer like it's nice to have, like you kind of need it.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So
like to become like a partner.
Right, yeah. And the firm I'm interning with over the summer is like CPA heavy. So that's what they do for their main business, and then
mostly tax.
Yeah, tax audit.
Are they part of like the Big Five?
Big Four, no. Big Four is like Deloitte. I think it's Deloitte, EY, KPM, EY. Yeah, it's like Ernst and Young.
Oh, okay. I've heard of that.
KPMG, and then I forget the other one. Let me see. Yeah, those ones are like gonna specialize in like audit. Oh, so it's PwC, Deloitte, EY, and KPMG. PwC is PricewaterhouseCoopers. But they focus most in like audit, and then consulting, things like that. Taxes a little bit too.
All right.
So that's the CPA. So tax pro. When you see CPA, just think tax pro. Next up is another one that's kind of like near and dear to my heart. I'm really impressed by this one. People who have it really impress me, but this is the Chartered Financial Analyst, and this is kind of like, I call it the Mac Daddy, because this is like, it's a three level test. Okay, so it's offered every 6 months, but they offered the level 1 twice a year, so you can do it in June or in December, I believe. And then the level 2 is in June, and then the level 3 is in June. So you can get the whole thing done in 18 months. It's a 3-level test, and you need about 300 hours of studying per level. So if you kind of add that together, round up a little bit, it's about 1,000 hours of studying the material.
For the CFA?
CFA, yeah.
That's a lot.
It covers, yeah, and it's like, so here's a good way to think about it. So the CFA is kind of, if you have two holes, right? Mm-hmm. The CFA is a hole that's 10 feet wide and a mile deep. So it's all investing stuff, like investing, econ, quantitative. There's a big ethics portion, portfolio management, and wealth planning. So just all investment type deal. Then the CFP is a hole that's a mile wide and 10 feet deep. So kind of the opposite. Like they cover a broad range, but not very...
A lot of breadth, but not in depth.
Exactly. And then the CFA is kind of like the flip of that.
Okay.
Real deep. It's like, so I wrote here, if people who start level 1, there's a 12% pass rate that they pass level 3. So if you get all the way through level 3, that's 12% of people.
So it's tough.
Yeah, it's basically, it's what I'm saying is it's tough. It's really tough, but yeah, big commitment.
You know someone that's got it, smart person.
Yeah, smart people have it. yeah, sure. So yeah. So then the last one I got up here that's kind of, I got some details on, is the chartered market technician. I don't know much about this one, but I wanted to do, these top 3 are kind of more like fundamental analysis type people. Like the CFA is going to focus a lot in fundamental analysis, do a little bit of technical analysis as well, but the chartered market technician is going to be a technical analysis expert. Analysis expert. Jesus. Technical analysis expert. Same setup, 3-level exam. So that covers market indicators, trend analysis, confirmation, there's an ethics component to it too. So you notice like a lot of these certifications, there's a big thing in ethics because the industry is just inherently
unethical.
Shady. Yeah, unethical. Yeah. So like back in like when you had like your classic stockbroker who would be calling people being like, hey, I got this thing, I'll put you in here, take you out there, like Wolf of Wall Street type shit.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
You know, people started to catch on, and then the industry got a lot of backlash for that. So all these certifications cover a lot of ethics for that reason. All right, so we just had a little interruption there, but the last couple ones I have on here, I didn't get much detail on them. I just wanted to throw them up just so you guys know what they are. So there's a chartered alternative investment analyst. Almost messed it up again. Which is the CAIA, obviously. That's a person who's going to specialize in things like private equity investments, hedge funds, real estate investments, the alternative investments, basically. So things that aren't stocks, bonds, currencies, things like that. Another one is the CLU, which is a chartered life underwriter, I believe. I think it's chartered. It might be certified.
So that's for like life insurance?
Life insurance, yep. So they're a life insurance specialist. A chartered financial consultant. I'm not exactly sure what the difference is between like that and a CFP, but I know you need to, if you don't do an education program, you have to get that to be able to do the CFP.
Chartered financial consultant.
Yeah. Yeah. So
for the CFP, you said?
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah. I mean, there's other ways too.
There's like a precursor to that. That's one way of doing it.
Yeah.
So you can do that and get a couple other ones, and then you can take the exam. And then the last one is an accredited estate planner. So that's going to be people who specialize in like estate planning, obviously. So like wealth transfer, moving your money into your kids' kind of life.
Like wills.
Wills, trusts.
Trust.
So things like that. There's a ton of them out there. We only covered, 8 of them. So, but there's probably like 15, 20 maybe.
There's some that are even like free too.
Yeah.
You just gotta find them. I know like the CFA offers or CPA. One of those two offers like a free one.
Yeah. CFA. Yeah, investment foundations.
That one.
Yeah, so there's a website, the CFA Institute, which is the...
It's kind of just like entity. The basics.
Yeah. Yeah, they offer kind of like a
finance, I guess.
Yeah, so you just read it. You take like 3 exams or something. But 2 practice ones.
Yeah, you have to take 2 practice exams and then the final, and you get 2 chances at it. Yeah. And then you have to do it in like 180 days or something.
Yeah, okay.
Since when you register, so.
All right. Yeah.
But you get the book for free.
So even things nice. Like for our listeners, like if you guys want to start getting into finance and you might not be, maybe you're out of college or you are studying something else in college, you think you might want to switch, you can go research these things, see if it's a role that you might fit well in, and then even like get a certification before you even, go in.
So for CFP, you said you have to have a degree in finance?
CFP, no, there's colleges that offer programs.
Oh yeah, but it's like you can get the
you can do it yourself too. That's a way to do it. So like I said, the education requirement, that's part of the 4 E's.
You're right.
If you go to college and study financial planning, that covers the education.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, one of the things I like, since I can't do that, like I was looking at it and like Butler offers just like an online certification test you can do, and like it's just a year long.
Yeah, American Institute I think is another one that people go to.
There's a lot of places that you can look at and just find it on the website alone.
Right.
Or like how you're doing it through the college and just a lot of different ways.
Yeah, there's a lot of schools. So like if you're a high schooler and you got really good grades and you are looking at schools you think you might want to be in financial planning, there's really good schools. So like Illinois has a really good program. Texas Tech's got a really good program. Virginia Tech has one. Ours at MSU is really like kind of on the come up. So one of the professors who kind of pioneered the program here has really been promoting it to different companies. Schwab, Plant Moran, obviously, Vanguard a little bit. There's one girl who came through the program that works at Vanguard. That he taught, but it's kind of on the upswing, so we're kind of trying to promote it, get it better, but like improve the program so we can be considered one of the best in the country. So
is there supposed to be like a master's program coming along with
I haven't heard anything about that. Like here, you mean?
Yeah, like a 5-year you could get like a master's with it. I might have gotten an email from
maybe. There are schools that like Texas Tech, the big time schools, they have like masters.
Like I know we have that for the CPA.
Oh, okay.
Like you can just go straight through and do your 150 credit hours right there, and it counts for like both your masters too and undergraduate.
Interesting. Yeah.
And I think it might be coming for the finance degree.
Maybe. Yeah. But yeah, so that kind of covers it. I mean, unless you guys got any other questions.
No, I think those are definitely some good plugs because, like you said, if you want to transition your industry and you want to like gain that knowledge, you can do so through the what Will was mentioning, like the courses and
the main thing I wanted to kind of do this for is that if you're looking to get a professional to help you out with like your financials, these are the things you want to look for.
Right.
And then you can go in and be like, hey, where did you study financial planning? Or like, when did you get your CFP? Do you have a CFP? Mm-hmm. Like how many people in your firm have CFPs or CPAs or whatever? So it's just like kind of trying to educate our listeners and make sure they don't like get ripped off.
Right.
Number one, and then number two, like get really good service.
Yeah.
So.
All right, so now we're gonna introduce a new section. It's about entrepreneurship. This week we're gonna do Warren Buffett. The guy's turning 90 this year. He's been
old as dirt.
He's getting pretty old. He is the CEO of Berkshire Hathaway. He's considered one of the most successful investors ever, and he's thought to be waiting for one last big investment before he retires and hands off the reins of Berkshire Hathaway to people under him. He has a partner, Charlie Munger, who helps him with the investing, helps him make the money. As of March 9th, he had a net worth of 81.7 billion.
Probably a lot less now.
Yeah, probably got below 80 now with the drop.
Just only 80 billion.
Yeah, just a little bit in his checking. For college, he went to the Wharton School of the University of Pennsylvania, and then he transferred to and then graduated at the University of Nebraska at the age of 19. So slightly ahead of us. He then went to graduate from Columbia Business School, and he attended the New York Institute of Finance. So just constantly learning.
Right.
And then one thing he does every day is just read, which is something like I guess we kind of trying to do that.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's a good trait to have, is always learning. Seeking knowledge.
And like no matter what you're reading,
you're gaining knowledge.
Yeah. So his company, Berkshire Hathaway, for him and Munger, it's basically a holding company that's an investment vehicle. In 1966, Buffett and an investment team took full control of it. It was a textile company then. When he first started, he began investing in insurance companies and wasn't totally diversified. One of those companies that he invested in was Geico. It's still going today. Now with it more diversified, some of the investments are in construction, clothing, real estate, and furniture. Some of those companies are Fruit of the Loom, Duracell, and Dairy Queen.
DQ.
Some major ones.
Right.
He would buy undervalued company stocks, eventually acquiring them full, like 100%. The way he started his investment career was with Buffett and Falk & Co. as an investment salesman. He then moved into a position as a securities analyst at Graham and Newton Corp. And that was with Benjamin Graham. Good person to learn under and mentor him.
Thanks.
And then after 3 years, he created his own partnership, Buffett Partnership, and was a general partner. And then he eventually grew those partnerships into 10 different ones, making most of his money in the beginning that way. Now Buffett and Munger are picking stocks when they choose to invest in a company. They're from more of an established market instead of the emerging markets. But Buffett will tell younger investors to look for emerging markets as they're could be more profitable, more value, and more growth of there.
Yeah. That makes sense.
For Berkshire Hathaway, they have holdings of other companies and don't own majority of control. Might not even be like 10% of the control. Like Coca-Cola, they own 9% of that. Apple, they have 5%, and then Heinz Kraft, they have 25%, respectively. Along the way, Buffett has made some mistakes, as everyone does, and it's just good learning from the mistakes. One of his first ones was actually buying Berkshire Hathaway because it was a failing textile company at the time. They ended up selling all the textile mills, and that he estimates that it cost him around $2 billion.
Sheesh.
$2 billion.
And he's worth around $80 billion now. So, but that's also all from what he's done with Berkshire Hathaway. Another mistake he made was not buying the Dallas-Fort Worth NBC station. In 1972, when he was offered it, they were trying to sell it for $35 million. But in 2000, he declined that, and then in 2006, they made profit of $73 million, and then it was valued at $800 million. So
that could have been a pretty good one.
Yeah, he's kind of just missing a lot of money.
Yeah.
That he could have made, but also they're just estimates. Not the value for the NBC, but of Berkshire Hathaway if he didn't buy it.
Right.
And then one more mistake he says he made is he never bought Google. He's never invested in it because he just doesn't understand the models, like the business models of tech. So he doesn't invest in those really, or he used to not.
That's a good advice right there.
Yeah,
don't invest in things you don't understand.
Yeah, But now he invests in Amazon and Apple. But one thing he should have known about, since Geico was using Google's ad business, and he said he was paying like $10 a month or something for it to Google, he should have known what Google could have been since he was already using it and paying for it. So Berkshire Hathaway has two classes. They have Berkshire Hathaway Class A, that's at 294, almost 295,000. That was earlier today.
A share.
Yeah, share. So
ridiculous. I think that's the most expensive stock, like dollar terms.
Yeah, probably.
I'm pretty sure in the world.
Yeah, and then they have another one. I'm trying to get into it, but not yet. Gotta let it drop a little bit. It's at 195.85. This was again earlier. This for the Berkshire Hathaway Class B. So they don't offer any. They've offered dividends once, and that was 10 cents in like his early career with Berkshire Hathaway, and then they haven't since. So it's not like some of the other companies where you're gonna get dividends like Apple, or even like the S&P 500. Warren Buffett has had some major impacts just on the U.S., like his community, the world. He's pledged over 99% of his fortune to philanthropic causes.
The philanthropics.
Yeah. He's giving away 99% of his fortunes before he dies or when he dies, which, again, a lot of money.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Even just 1% still a lot.
Right.
On average, he's giving away over $15 million a year.
That's pretty good.
Still a lot. That. And in like overall, he's given away $34.5 billion since 2006. And some of those are going to like the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation,
right,
trying to help like global warming and issues like that. I think one of them was like more water for Africa, or like getting clean water to Africa. Another cause he donates to is the Glide Foundation. I don't know a ton about that, but I think he set that up, and it's another charity.
Right.
And then I'm gonna give you a quote from him. One of the most important investments you can make is in yourself. I think we all
definitely agree.
Live with that.
Yeah. That's
life
just like,
motto.
I think what he means by that is just trying to like educate yourself as much as possible. Try to gain new skills.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the more you learn, the more you can ask.
The more powerful you
right.
are.
Yeah, true.
Because knowledge is really power, for real.
Yeah,
for real.
And if you want, like, investing in the financial senses, you're putting a small initial investment up front and then expecting it to grow. So if you like kind of take the same
invest
concept,
a little bit of time.
Exactly.
Right.
It's not technically money, but I think time is gonna be important too.
Right. Yeah. So you guys got anything else add about him?
No, I think he's a good investor to study. Obviously, he's like probably the best investor.
Oh, does he have any books that we can recommend?
He definitely has.
I know
a book.
Ben Graham has The Intelligent Investor,
Yeah,
which is pretty good if you want to get started.
He was like his mentor, so.
Right, yeah, and he kind of stands by that book.
I know.
Oh, of course, Warren Buffett, every year he releases like a shareholder letter, and somebody put them all together. So like, for as long as Berkshire Hathaway's been around, which is...
He started releasing his letter in 1970.
Right, so that's like, what, 50 years? of shareholder letters, and that's like
every February.
I mean, he talks about like how how his business is doing, but also like
seeing
the markets, and then it's other things. Somebody told me one time it's like a master class, like a business degree master class, just reading that book. So, I mean, I guess if you're into that, read. Yeah. He's got a couple other ones up here, but nothing.
I actually have on my whiteboard. It's to watch the conference videos with Warren Buffett, which is just something to educate myself. That was from the Wall Street Trapper. He said that was something he recommended.
Nice.
So just always trying to, I guess, invest in myself.
Yeah.
More and more.
More knowledge.
True. Yeah, and you can I looked up books Warren Buffett recommends. And again, the intelligent investors on there. There's a bunch of others. There's just a lot you can learn from him, in finance mostly.
Right.
And then other spots.
True. And I think there's a documentary too that he made, or that is about him. Not that he made. Did you?
No, not yet.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. On YouTube. He
didn't make it. Yeah, it might be on YouTube.
I think I started it.
Warren Buffett documentary.
Yeah.
It's about him. He didn't make it.
Right. Yeah. All right, so now it's time for the final segment of today's episode, the physical wellness segment, and today we'll be covering the importance of a healthy diet. So, I mean, it goes without saying, you want to eat as best you can, and a healthy diet is good for you, but I mean, nobody's perfect and you don't have to be. But yeah, so a healthy diet, there's many benefits to eating right. Getting your veggies, fruits, staying away from fats, all that stuff. But kind of like a saying that's kind of stuck out to me, since I've kind of been more health conscious about what I eat, is just you are what you eat. And that kind of shows itself in its benefits and the detriments of your diet. So today we're just going to cover why it's important to eat a healthy diet. And number one, it prevents many diseases. So you can prevent heart disease, diabetes, high blood pressure, cancer, and even depression just through, making sure you're eating a healthy diet. I think especially nowadays, especially in America, we have pretty terrible diets. So it's with all the fast food places, it's you can go down a street and you'll see even on main roads, you'll see 7 fast food chains.
Yeah.
And
that's interesting that it prevents even cancer. I would not think that would be the case.
Yeah, so I think it's from just the artificial things, ingredients in the processed foods and stuff.
Sure.
It's not natural, at the core it's not natural food. So of course your cells aren't gonna be as reactant in a beneficial way to food that's processed, made in labs, and genetically modified, all that jazz.
Yeah. I mean all the other ones that you listed, heart disease, high blood pressure, those are kind of given.
Yeah, for sure.
Everybody kind of knows that. And then diabetes, obviously, if you're cramming sugar, but cancer is that's pretty interesting. I never would have guessed that. I mean, maybe I would have guessed it.
So in processed meats, it has a higher level of carcinogens than cigarettes do.
Really?
Yeah. So
interesting.
I think that's where it comes from, is all the preservatives and things like that are put in food. Like I said, all the unnatural things that are used. Because think about it, you got to get meat from the supply chain of it.
Right, yeah. It has to stay fresh.
Exactly. So
quote unquote fresh.
Yeah, exactly. Quote unquote. So yeah, I think one main one that stuck out to me was depression. Because I feel just from my own personal experience, when I started eating a lot better, I felt like mentally a lot more clear, like cognitively more functionable. And
and we talked about this with like what was it? I can't think of the word. Fasting.
Yeah.
With like how, you know, you give your body that time to like kind of process everything and get it out, and then it's like you kind of got more like pep in your step. I'm gonna say.
Yeah, for
like
sure.
You're feeling upbeat.
Your energy levels. It definitely does something.
Yeah.
To that because it takes like processing the words in the food. So it's like your body has to process those unnatural things and break those down, and that's just lowering your energy. So especially when you're eating like a lot of sugary things that kind of get you on that high and then kind of crash you, it's like that. So like if you're eating just a bunch of like Little Debbie cakes or whatever, it's taking like mad.
That's the first thing that popped into your head.
I just had to come off the head, bro, because I've definitely eaten my share. But yeah, so it's just that energy can be spent better, and then so you're gonna feel kind of exhausted or depleted. That's why like after you eat a big meal, you'll feel, I guess they call it like the itis. You feel tired and you want to take a nap and all that stuff, and it's just it's from the food. So going back into why depression was so interesting to me, it was because eating processed foods, like we talked about, affects your mood. Sugary foods, all that, it leads to high blood sugar, and that's what causes you to feel tired and like irritable.
The other thing too is like I only know this because when I was a kid, but like my dad would always be like, don't like, you know, you go to the restaurant and they give you like, what do you want to drink? Oh, okay, I'll take a Coke.
Right.
And then when you're a kid, obviously, like you suck down like maybe 2 or 3 of them before the food even gets there.
Right. Yeah.
And then that kind of pushes your blood sugar up, and you feel full when you're not really full.
Right. You didn't really have anything.
Like you don't eat anything good, and then it's just you crash, like we were talking about.
Yeah, because that's why we'll get to it next when I go over some tips for you guys. Soda is like basically you're drinking your calories. Like so soda is pretty high in calories. So you like that's kind of where the fullness comes from, because you're taking in a lot of calories, but it's a liquid, so it kind of moves through your body faster. Like you feel full, but you're not actually fulfilled. Right. So so we'll cover.
Write that on the shirt.
So we'll cover that in a little bit when I go over some tips. But also I learned this on health.harvard.edu that a Western diet, as opposed to a traditional diet, they call it, which is like a Mediterranean diet, which incorporates like beans. Like they don't eat like a lot of like sugary things or a lot of carbs. They're mostly like beans, like oils, fish.
Whereas like the Western diet would be
like potatoes,
the bread
steak,
basket kind of.
breads.
And I think that's partly due to the fact that like the USA is like, you know, it's like a bread basket kind of economy. Like we produce a lot of like corn products, and like soybeans, different things like that. And actually, like, this is kind of tying into like, so not to like give any spoilers to our listeners, but we're thinking about maybe bringing on a guest in maybe a couple weeks. But he kind of more or less specializes in this sort of thing, and like agriculture and forestry and that sort of thing. So.
Yeah, for sure.
So,
we got.
I don't want to give any spoiler
for you guys.
Teaser there. So if you listen to the end of the episode, you know.
Yeah, and we can just dive into this topic a little bit deeper with an expert. Eating a Western diet as opposed to the Mediterranean diet puts you at 25 to 35% higher risk for depression, and this is according to health.harvard.edu. Got it right off the website. And that just speaks to how the food you're eating impacts you mentally. So it's like eating all these processed foods that are riddled with ingredients that you can't even really say, let alone having to spell it if somebody else was to say it to you.
Right.
Like, it just shows you that those like chemicals affect you chemically in your brain.
Yeah. It does more than like put on weight.
Exactly.
That's, I think, what the point you're trying to get across is, like, not only are you going to get physically unhealthy, but like mentally and physiologically unhealthy as well.
And yeah, so speaking on that, the gastrointestinal tract is what connects your stomach to your brain. So when you're eating all of these terrible foods, you know, it's going to your stomach and, you know, passing through that gastrointestinal tract, which creates that bad bacteria in your stomach, which kind of causes that cloudy feeling because it's through like neurons and stuff like that. So yeah, like I said, you are what you eat. So I seen a pretty cool graphic a few months back that I shared on Facebook, and it said every food you eat is either preventing disease or causing disease. And that kind of stuck out to me because it was like a fork in the road type of thing, and then it had like the background picture was obviously like some garden vegetables and whatnot, and then like all the fast food that's all over the United States. Like, we have the most cases of obesity in the world because people really have extremely poor diets, and you know it affects people more than, like you were just saying, more than in the physical. It impacts you mentally, and I've kind of felt this personally just when I started eating or paying attention to what I was eating. Like, I cut out chips, I cut out like pretty much any, you know, junk food, and then like I was always checking labels and making sure like it was, you know.
So when you're checking these labels, like, what are you looking for, like, that's good, and what are you looking for that's bad? So like, if you pick up a label and you see this, you're not gonna get it.
Well, what I was doing mainly was just kind of looking at the ingredients and making sure like there were no high fructose corn syrups, first of all, because that's in a lot of things, because high fructose corn syrup is kind of like a genetically modified like sugar. So like, it's not natural basically. So I was just trying to avoid those for sure. And then I was just making sure, like I said, the ingredients that are in some of these foods, like you wouldn't even know what it is. So just trying to eat more whole foods, and that's kind of a tip for you guys, is just making sure you're eating as much whole food instead of processed food, and instead of like frozen food. And I know like some people are, you know, on tight budgets maybe, and the more fresh things are more expensive.
Yeah, but I feel like you can.
But you can definitely do it on a budget, and even if you don't go full overhaul, then you can still make subtle changes that'll, you know, make so much difference in your life. Like, I'm still a college student, so it's not like I had I had hundreds of dollars to drop on groceries on fresh, you know, from, you know, the farmer's market every week. So I was just making do with what I could, and I was just, first of all, avoiding pop. You know, that's number one.
Yeah, let's jump into the tips right here. I think we already covered that.
Avoiding pop, you know, avoiding the chips and the snack foods, because those obviously are not made from anything that's really natural or whole. And then I'm not saying you have to do this, because you can still eat a healthy diet and eat like beef and chicken and stuff, but I had went like pescatarian for a few months and just ate like fish, and then a lot of times I wouldn't even eat fish super often. I would just kind of go on a semi-vegan ish, like it wasn't like full blown like vegan, but it was something I tried out, because what I was learning at the time was I was just gaining more knowledge on nutrition and health. So that's what it kind of did for me. So yeah, I'd say number one, staying away from soda. because, like I mentioned earlier, you're drinking your calories, and it's nothing but sugar and pretty much and other chemicals.
Right. That's something that I actually do most of the time. Like when I go to the restaurant, when the waiter had water.
Yeah, and it's free. Water. So and they be charging like $2.99.
Right. That's another thing. That's a good point. It's like you don't really think about that, but it is. It's free. Water.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, and also eating less fat. So staying away from saturated fats. I just got schooled on this earlier. I guess trans fats are banned nationally.
Yeah.
But that was still a common ingredient in a lot of foods, or it had a lot of trans fat in it. So obviously for a healthy diet, you're still going to need fats, but making sure they're good fats will be, key. So just got a few for you guys. Avocado is a pretty healthy fat, and it's pretty versatile. You can make like guacamole, avocado toast.
Yeah, I used
just
to
eat slices of it.
One summer I was just on like a big kick of it, and I just have that like for one meal. Or I could just make a whole bowl of guacamole, like you were saying, toast. Just a lot of you can do with it.
Yeah, and I love avocado personally.
Pretty easy to make.
Yeah.
Cut it, scoop it. There you go. I mean, for real, that's all you gotta do.
Very accessible. And then also eggs are a decent source of fat.
Get protein from them.
Get protein. And then lastly, salmon. They're also, so they're high in the omega-3 fatty acid. The omega-3 fat.
It's good for you.
It's good for you.
Yeah, true.
So, and then also you want to, like I said, increase your whole food intake. So vegetables, those are whole foods.
Something you could do for like a snack is like almonds or like cashews, but like unsalted.
Yeah.
Just those are good.
Like the honey roasted and stuff. Just limiting your sugar intake will definitely, I feel like, increase your mental.
No, it definitely will.
Well, that's the most like beneficial thing. Even like if you struggle with getting away from like fatty foods, if you limit sugar as like minimal as possible, then you'll definitely reap plenty of benefits. True. And it's just increased like mental clarity, and that's kind of what I experienced most when I switched my diet. I was just sharper, thinking more clear. My mood was 10 times better than it was previously, and it was just eating all that processed junk food. It wasn't good for me physically, and it wasn't good for me mentally. And ever since I've like made that switch and focused on my physical wellness, and it's made a lot of increase and change in my mental wellness as well. So I think I covered this on like the first episode. I just truly believe that physical wellness and mental wellness kind of tie in to each other, and they both, go hand in hand. So, yeah, just a few tips for you guys. And then lastly, what I want to just leave out on is just think of food as a fuel. So if you had a Ferrari or a BMW i8 or something like that.
Okay, ride in style.
Exactly. Like, we're going to be riding those whips in a few years anyways. But if you have that, if you think of your body as that, because that's really what you should value it as, even higher than any material possession, but I'm rambling. So you wouldn't put unleaded gas that you put in the same Chevrolet Cobalt that you would as in an i8. You'd be putting premium fuel. And
I'm paying extra.
Exactly. That $4 a gallon. Nah, but
no, gas prices are going down.
Yeah.
No, we'll talk about
oil
that.
is tanking. Facts. But yeah, food is fuel. So what you are what you eat. So if you're putting good things in, you'll get good outcome. If you put bad things in, you get bad outcome, which is disease, mental fogginess. It's a list. Oxidative stress. So
just like a worse quality of life.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You won't function to your full capability if you're not eating as healthy and natural diet as possible. You'll always have, you know, I don't know the term for it. You're
happier, better.
You're like you won't like be your peak, like your optimum self, like your potential, if you're still like lacking in your.
You gotta be the Ferrari.
You gotta treat your body like a Ferrari, and not a damn '91 Oldsmobile. But yeah, so hopefully you guys learned a lot from today's episode in regards to, you know, eating well and getting your mental right so that you can excel when you're taking these chartered financial analyst tests and you know. So hopefully you took a lot away from today's episode, get those certifications or at least learn about them. Had a dog investor covered today in Warren Buffett, probably the GOAT.
He probably is the GOAT.
So it's
I'm
like
put him as the GOAT.
Facts.
Yeah. There's a couple
Him,
people that
maybe Benjamin Graham.
Maybe but Graham's like
his GOAT.
But he surpassed the master. The student surpassed the master. But there's some other ones that I might put up there. But he's probably the GOAT.
Well, most well known probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, true.
Definitely. Most infamous.
Yeah.
But wrap it up.
So we'll definitely be coming to you guys on a way more consistent basis.
Yeah.
Get that content out to you guys and get rolling on this paper, because I think we got something special brewing, and we're gonna look for our growth, and we're only at the infant stages. So as our listeners grow, as we grow, everything just grows because we're investing in ourselves.
And like we said, we're considering kind of coming up with a list of people, some guests that we might want to have on. And for those episodes, just so you guys are aware, we're just going to go an hour of straight guest. So there won't be sections or topics or anything covered in that. We'll just be interviewing some interesting people or people that we find interesting.
Facts.
I'm sure you guys will too.
Oh, yeah. And we'll all be learning a lot from those episodes. Get them credible guests on and just share their expertise with us as we're still young learning. So I think it'll just be a great learning experience, and that's what the paper is. When you read the paper, you learn something you didn't know before.